Hey everyone, and welcome to The Game Code. We're the only video game show in Atlantic Canada, and we're bringing you the latest in everything that has to do with video games in the region and the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Pelly. Check out what's coming up in this episode. We're in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia to visit the incredible offices of local developers HB Studios. Not only do these guys have an amazing workspace, you can bet you've played some of the banner titles they've had a hand in developing. Stephanie gets to try out her very first Dota 2 game. It also happens to be her very first Rage Quit. And finally, if you remember that sweet jazzy trailer from Paradox Interactive for Leviathan Warships, you're probably wondering if the actual game measured up. Well, I'm sitting down with Mike to let you know if this game sinks or swims. And we'll try to keep the boat puns to a minute. But first up, let's check out what's happening at HB Studios.
I'm a producer here, so it's sort of organising the team and everything, and I sort of have a bit of a creative input on how that is, and I have like sort of final say on the quality before it goes to like Jeremy, was he president? I do that and look on the day-to-day stuff of making the games and stuff like that.
I'm a graphic artist. I design and build user interfaces. So basically, all the stuff you got to go through before you actually get to the game you want to play. And a typical day, it changes. Sometimes I'm building, sometimes I'm designing, sometimes I'm a lot of tweaking. Yeah, just trying to stay creative and focused, and there's a lot of technical things too that you have to know.
Right now, yeah, I'm in a senior game designer position here at HB Studios, a general day for me, I deal a lot in terms of documentation, making sure that the people I'm working with, whether it be producers, programmers or artists, whether 3D artists, graphic artists, they have the right kind of instructions as to what they need to be building for certain features within the games that we make. So I go between doing documentation work and testing the current build of the game, making sure we're on track and that those features that we are building for the game are playing the way they need to and have the correct kind of functionality. And it's constantly going between troubleshooting and designing new features for the game. So there's always something happening, and there's always lively conversations with people in the team, whether it's programmers or the artists, and so yeah, generally a lot happens within the space of a day, but it's definitely fun work.
A regular day would include a fair amount of email, a fair amount of meeting with teams, a fair amount of looking at builds and helping the teams to troubleshoot things, and then also doing a lot of planning for new projects and the next stuff that we're doing.
I normally get in the morning, and I'm pretty easygoing. I never call a meeting. I normally do coffee. So we come in here, we have coffee, and all the team normally have talk about what they're going to be doing for the day, and we talk about everything and how we're going to go about it. And I'll tell them the goals for the week or the day or whatever it is what we've got to do. So we'll talk about that. Boys go off and they start working away. I'll go through my emails that I've got, answer anything that anybody else wants to know, and then I go around and normally have a chat with everyone as stuff's going on, and sit there, play the game, play what they're doing on their machines, just to make sure it's going in the right direction, and then let them back to what they're doing.
It's beautiful here. I'm a very outdoors person, so I like camping and boating and outdoor activities and stuff like that. The winters can be a little daunting, but it's nice to have that change of scenery too, like a seasonal change. So that's something to look forward to, are the changing seasons. I enjoy that. And I've always been very tied to the ocean. That's one thing that I was really happy about finding a job here, because I was expecting to have to move out west after school, and I don't think I could cope without being near the water. I grew up on the water. My father is a lobster fisherman. I think a lot of people are actually surprised that this place exists here. Like when people ask me where I work, a lot of the time they actually, when I tell them, I usually get like a surprise response. But in actuality, almost a third of the staff are originally from the South Shore.
Well, I think the best thing I love about the studio, it has the feel of a very small indie studio, in the fact that I can go down and talk to my top boss and the owner of the company, who only sits 20 yards away from me, and talk to him about anything I like, but I get the parties and all the fun that I used to get at all the big companies. So that is my favourite thing about working here.
Coming from Toronto, we did this sort of commuting thing on the 401 and on the GO train and the kind of concrete jungle thing, and the idea of being able to live this close to the beach and close to the outdoors, as well as being able to still work in sort of cutting edge industry, was a huge opportunity.
Mostly it's the people and the things that the studio does for us. Like we have, we're gonna all go away to White Point and have like a big studio party, right? Like that kind of stuff.
Here at HB Studios, we've got multiple rooms that the employees can make use of. One of those in particular that I make a lot of use out of is the gymnasium, where we've got different weights and different things you can work out with. So I get in there, maybe after hours and do a bit of workout from time to time. We also have the office daycare where people can drop their kids during the week as well. We got a games room where people can go in there and whether they just want to chill out or if they're researching something for features that they're working on in games that we're working on here at HB Studios, that's something they can do as well. There's a whole bunch of different things that HB lays on for the staff here, and really makes it a nice place to work.
Well, I think that's a good point, is that we're big enough to have sort of bigger studio feel. You're not just a couple of guys in a bedroom who are, trying to live on noodles and make the next game, right? We've got great stuff here, like a gym, and we have like company events, and we've got a really cool studio workspace. So I think that there's a lot of benefits to working in a larger group, but we are largely independent. We do a lot of work with Electronic Arts, but we are independent.
Consoles are mostly the easiest to develop for up front, because you know what you're getting, you know what hardware you have to deal with, everything like that. The hard part, especially from my point of view, is the actual submission processes, where you've got to do a lot of paperwork to get through them to make sure that everything's right for how Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo want their things to work. Apple, and they've got the standard hardware without as stricter submission processes, which is really nice. Android, they can be all over the place. It's a bit like working on a PC in the fact that every handset's different, and every bit of hardware is different. So you get something working, it looks perfectly on like the one phone, you come over to another phone and it's like, oh, this doesn't work at all. So then you got to go and sort that out. So it's a sort of an unknown working on them, but they're a lot freer to work on.
Usually when we do a game, we do it on multiple platforms, so there's always little differences between certain ones. Xbox and PlayStation are pretty much the same, but once you start going on to mobile, obviously there's a screen size difference. You don't have as much room to work with on a mobile device, right? And also the touchscreen interface is very different. You have to know how to design something that the interaction is easy to recognize and understand right away, so the user doesn't lose interest.
Well, the most recent one that launched was the Home Run Derby game that was published by Major League Baseball, and it's a free-to-play game on the App Store, and it's live now, free to download on iOS, coming very soon for Android, and it's been doing very well.
Really a lot of fun to play. I wasn't massively knowledgeable about baseball like 2 years ago, and I sort of got into it once I moved here, and then to get the chance to work with the MLB was like really, really good. So they said, oh, we're looking to make a home run derby game, and we got hold of that, and yeah, we made something that looked like a very top-end console game on iOS device. If you look at an iPhone 5 or an iPad 4, it's like really good. The reviews have been really good and it's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, definitely, we're definitely happy with how that turned out in terms of gameplay, but also the actual look of the game and yeah, the visuals side of things. Yeah, it's really great.
One of the projects we're working on is a golf game for next gen. And one of the sort of cool differentiating features that we're looking at building is a course generator. So rather than having either licensed courses or pre-designing a whole bunch of courses, what we're instead trying to do is put the tools to build really fun and really exciting courses into users' hands and then allow them to share it, rate it, upload it, compete with their friends against it, and make it a really social experience. Right now, we're sort of in that early prototyping phase where we're trying to build the course generator and make it so that A, it generates realistic courses, and B, it's actually fun to make those courses.
I would love to work on whatever is the place where I can get to the most people. So I always feel that it's a bit of an art to make video games, and making something that people want to play is like amazing. And I like to recreate stuff that's in real life. This is one of my big love for sports games. So if I can get access to, you know, a lot of people to make soccer games, American football games, baseball games, and make a very realistic simulation, I don't mind which one that is. It's all about the simulation and getting to the most people and know that I've made that game that is the best one out there.
It is a really technical industry, and I think having a technical understanding of how the games are built is really important. And I think there's never been a better opportunity to learn this kind of stuff. The tools that are available out there now are just incredible compared to what was available when I was learning. You know, when I was learning how to teach myself to program, I was getting books out of the library because the internet hadn't been invented. I'm dating myself here. And now you can get fully fledged free tools that allow you to produce super high quality stuff really easily, and there's huge communities of support. So I think learning how to actually build games and actually building games before you try to do it professionally is probably the way to go.
Some people go the route of like, you know, studying at university, getting a degree, and then going from there and applying for jobs. Other people, you know, find other ways, like whether they have people that they know in the industry, or they start at the very low end of the scale, maybe as a tester, similar to what I did. So I guess my advice would be just to get your foot in the door any way you can, and once you're there, just make sure you work as hard as you can and impress upon people how much you want to be in this industry, and show what sort of creative talent you have and that kind of thing.
Look at what's already out there and see what other people are doing, and learn to work as a team, because obviously it's not just art that's involved in video games. There's very many different departments. You have software engineers, you have sound guys, you have producers, you have animators, 3D artists, graphic artists. Like, there's so many different departments that, you know, you should think about strongly about which department you want to get into going into the games industry.
Coming up next, we wrap up our MOBA coverage. Stick around.